Welcome back to How I Franchise This. I'm Alex Smereczniak, and today I am joined by Cody Weaver, a lifelong entrepreneur who went from selling golf balls as a kid and launching an R-rated silly bands company in college to building a career in footwear with brands like Steve Madden and Dolce Vita. Now he's a Donato's Pizza franchise partner in Fort Mill, South Carolina. We'll dive into how he spotted the opportunity, the hard truths of being a franchisee in a growing brand, and lessons he's learned in his career. Let's get started. All right. Thank you for joining us on another episode of How I Franchise This. Today we have an awesome guest and an interesting story. We'll start right out of the gate. Just share with us your name and which franchise you're a partner of.
Sure. My name's Cody Weaver, and I franchise Donato's Pizza.
Awesome. And what is Donato? I mean, I think it's self-explanatory. But what's the quick context?
It's a fast casual pizza chain. It's based in Columbus, Ohio. Its parent company is in Columbus, Ohio, and which is where I'm born and raised. And our claim to fame is like the thin crust and the edge-to-edge toppings, and just something I grew up on. So it's nostalgic to me as a brand and something I believe in.
Awesome. So we'll get into more of Donato's and how you found it. But when you and I first talked, I remember leaving the phone call being like, this dude is like an entrepreneur through and through. He's been doing it from a very young age. Let's talk about that. Like when you were a kid, you had a bunch of different hustles. There's golf balls, there's silly bands, R-rated silly bands. There's an interesting story there. Let's talk about that.
Cool. Growing up, man, I grew up in a golf course community, and I actually didn't play golf until I got older. I wish I would have started doing it. But I would go out there and go through like the fescue rough in the woods, and I had this big retriever. I'd get balls out of ponds, and I'd put them in my wagon. I'd bring them home every night. I'd bleach them. I'd put them by brand, and then on the weekends I'd set up a golf ball stand. And our house just so happened to be like on the way to the clubhouse. And so the golfers that played every weekend kind of knew, like, I'm going to stop and get my Pro V1s from this kid, for $15 instead of 50. And that was like my first true entrepreneurial endeavor.
How old were you doing that?
I was 8 when I started that.
8?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought you were in high school.
No, man, I was in 3rd grade. And I've always been, as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of things that can motivate you. And I think sometimes like dark energy, being doubted, can be good. I think sometimes you want a fancy car or you want a good life. And, I'm a little deeper than just the things. And then hopefully we unpack that as we go. But back then I really wanted an aquarium. And I didn't want like a little fish tank. I wanted like
sharks.
Dude, I wanted live rock, live like plants, like the whole thing. My parents took me to Aquarium Adventure, and they were like 10+ grand for what I wanted. And so I got it.
No way.
I got it with the golf
Solid golf balls.
Yeah, and I had that aquarium all through college into my first home. But at that time, I just one-track mind, and I wanted that fish tank. And I walked into Aquarium Adventure with like $10K cash, and I did it.
So is that what sparked the entrepreneurial spirit? Was the aquarium, or what do you think? How did you even have the idea for the golf balls? What led you to do it as an 8-year-old? Was it the want?
I think my entrepreneurial energy kind of started with baseball cards.
Okay.
So we would go to the Ohio State Fair, and all these card stores would set up like their booth. And back in the day, it was before you had iPhones where you could look up last sold price on eBay and that whole like Gary V hustle. Mm-hmm. I memorized Beckett's. Like a Beckett was a magazine where, all right, 1989 Topps King Griffey Jr.'s worth $15. And then I'd find it for $12.50. And then I'd flip it to the next booth. And so the card hustle really is where I was like, my dad's like, this kid's kind of different. Like
was it just fun to you, do you think? Or like what?
For the cards, it was just fun to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just fun to me. And then the golf balls were fun too, though. Like I've always liked selling stuff.
Yeah.
I've always liked winning.
Yep.
Like I have a competitive nature. I was an athlete growing up, and so the baseball cards were probably like my first hustle, but not a crazy success story. Just a little kid flipping baseball cards and coming out on top.
Yeah.
Or what my version of coming out on top was.
I had a professor ask me, they're like, Alex, what do you think it is that makes someone an entrepreneur? Like, are they born with it or do they develop it? And I think it is a little bit of both. The analogy I use is like an NBA player. Like there's people like LeBron who are just like freaks of nature out of the gate. Like they're built to go be a basketball player. But there's also a ton of NFL or NBA athletes that I think, bust their ass and are working on it 12 hours a day, and they develop the skill and they
For
develop
sure.
the passion. And so when we get approached by people for frames, like, do you think I can do it? Do I have what it takes? And it's like, if you're willing to work hard, you can learn to become an entrepreneur, and you
I
can
agree.
find that fun and that competitive edge and that, skill that you develop over time. And it sounds like once you got that little taste, even at a young age, you're like, yeah, I like this. It's fun. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like work.
Right.
And then you parlay that into the next thing and the next thing. So
For
for
sure.
you, it was baseball cards, golf balls.
Yep.
What was next in high school, or what was the next entrepreneurial?
Man, what I do want to touch on, I think hard work beats skill every time. Like I genuinely believe that. And someone like LeBron is both. That's why he's generational. So that's just something that I believe in, that you can always work hard. I think to stomach entrepreneurship, you have to have a certain resolve, you know, second payment notice, bills stacking up, GM quits, like bad Google review. Like you have to kind of be,
Tough skin,
yeah,
thick skin.
that's the one thing. I think you can work hard for anything, but I think to make it in business, you have to have a stomach for uncomfortable, especially the bigger business that you get into.
Yep.
Baseball cards, fine. Golf balls, cool. And then the next business that we'll
Do you
talk
think
about.
that can also be learned though? Can you learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable?
Yeah, I think it can be learned, but I think some people type A, I don't know. I think some people aren't cut out for it. And
Yeah.
I think I believe in the importance of being an intrapreneur as well. Like maybe you're not the person that can stomach all that risk, but you can be an entrepreneur within another company and build a great life for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my next business, my senior year in high school, it was 2009, and I don't know if you remember silly bands.
Yep.
So they're these rubber bands, and
Like
they're
dinosaurs.
like animals. And all the girls in high school were like trading them, and it like drove me nuts. Like I wouldn't say I'm a pessimistic person, but I think I'm kind of a realist.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, we're 18. What are we doing? Like, I'll trade you my cat for your dinosaur. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing. So I went home and I was like, just to be candid, I was like, I'm gonna find penis rubber band. I'm gonna take him to school, and I'm like, I'll trade you my penis for that guy. Like I thought it'd be funny, and so I Googled it and it didn't exist. So it like sparked an idea in my brain where I'm like, man, like silly bands are taking the world by storm. And then my brain starts going like, I could do beer kegs and water bombs.
Hot leads.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, dude, it's endless of what I thought would be funny. There's no novelty, So I did 16 shapes. We did it, we did an eight like adult pack and then an 8 party pack.
Okay.
What
was the best seller?
The adult pack was the best seller because we got a customer called Cirilla's. It's a national chain adult store. I've actually never been in one, honest to God. But it was an easier, at the time, marijuana and things like that were less accepted. And so like the fact that we could get into Spencer's or Cirilla's or, with the adult stuff was huge. It was pretty awesome. So, but my favorite story of that business, I paid for the molds, but I didn't pay for like the colors yet. So like my samples were just like neutral, and their skin color, yeah, just like rubber bands. Because I didn't want to pay for the dye. Like I'm like, I bought the molds. I'm gonna go see if I can sell these things. So I went to. Have you ever heard of water beds and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, like beds and stuff. I think it is now.
Yeah.
But I went to their headquarters. They had like 11 stores, and I laid them on the table, and like, I'm 19 years old, and these buyers are like crying, laughing. Like they're like, this is insane. Like we need them. We need them for all stores. They cut me a PO that day. I have no money. And they're like, so what are your payment terms? I'm like, I need a check today. And they looked at me like I had like 6 heads. I'm like, I couldn't buy their order. Like you know what I mean? I'm like, so I left that day with a hard PO and a check. And
They did it.
They did it. And that started Dirty Bands.
No way. And you said you were 19? 18.
I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in once I got it going. The idea spurred senior year of high school.
Okay.
But the time it took to, how am I going to make these things? Who's going to source them? How am I going to pay for them?
Yeah, what did you use to learn all that? I think some people listening will be like, okay, you go from idea to like actually doing it. How do people do that?
110%. My dad is
It's like a mentor. Let's say your dad's not entrepreneurial, like some sort of mentor.
yeah, my dad was in the footwear business like I am. I think we'll talk about that later, but he worked at a company that made like inserts for shoes and stuff, like shoe accessories.
Okay.
Like little heel tabs and inserts, and like, so that factory actually is who made it for me.
Okay.
And that was a connection through my dad.
And let's say that hadn't been the case. Like, do you feel like you would have gone to Google, you would have asked your dad or someone for a connection and figured it out? Or do you?
For sure. But I think every successful entrepreneur, and I actually don't consider myself successful yet, they have people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have luck, they have mentors, they have people that left the ladder down around them, all of that.
Yeah.
And I think part of it, I always say action creates action. And so if you just go, like, you'll get lucky. But it is luck. But I just think everyone's journey, even Elon Musk has probably a list of 25 people as to why he's the richest man in the world.
I can't remember if it's Alex Smereczniak, but one of these other like entrepreneurial influencer types has this line where he got asked, he's like, what's the one piece of advice you have? And he's like, figure out what you want, like whether that's success or relationships or a combination of all the above. But then he says, do so much volume that it would be unreasonable that you're successful, that you're not successful.
Yeah.
And to your point, it's like action
for sure
creates action. And I think that's so true. It's like just put things out into the world and it creates momentum, it creates connections, it creates at bats. And you don't have to be hitting home runs every swing.
But it's more than you're going to succeed.
Exactly. But you got to get the at bats.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you had, again, you learned all that throughout the baseball cards, the golf balls, the dirty bands. How did you, I mean, you kind of answered a little bit, but getting into the footwear industry, was that next after Dirty Bands, or what happened with Dirty Bands? Did it take off? So Spencer's?
Yeah, man. So Dirty Bands, by all financial measures, was a great success. I was an idiot. I blew so much money, and we kind of had an attitude that it would never end. You know, like it was a fad.
Was your dad telling you like, hey man, come on? Like,
my dad is, he's my number one mentor. He's my best friend. We talk every day. We've been talking every day about Donatos, you know, and, but he's also like, he like lets me.
Okay.
So he probably was sitting back like, he shouldn't be doing. I took 6 friends to MTV Beach Bash in Panama City, paid for the hotel, paying bar tabs. Like, we're giving out Dirty Bands all over the beach. Like, it was a crazy,
on top of the world.
For sure, man. On top of the world. So 2-part question. I'm 3rd generation in footwear. So it was kind of a natural progression of what I would do with my life, even though I never planned for that. And then after Dirty Bands, how it died, you asked. It just was a fad, a trend, and we were getting reorders, and we're buying them at scale. We're importing them from China. My parents' basement's loaded with boxes. And then, you know, it just starts to slow down. And you could see it, you could feel it. So we started this like college distribution program. We were selling them to like fraternities for like 40 cents. Like, just get them out of the basement, get some of our money back. Like, we knew it was ending.
Yeah.
Had I invested well, it would have done what it needed to do for my life. But I didn't really invest.
That's crazy.
And
how old are you at that point when it starts to wind down?
Probably like 21, junior year of college.
So this is like a 2-3 year like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, and really it was 6 months maximized, like, for sure. But that's how it is, man. It's like, you know, Pokemon, Beanie Babies, the silly bands, like everything kind of comes and goes pretty quick.
Yep.
But the footwear business, I started to sell shoes in college at the mall. So I worked at Nordstrom.
Okay.
On the shoe floor, and learned, you know, the women's shoe business kind of that way. And I started another company after Dirty Bands. It was called Beautiful Bottoms.
Okay.
And Christian Louboutin has a red outsole on all his footwear, and it's a patent. And, you know, basically it's like a Rolex. It's a status symbol. And if you have red bottoms on, everyone knows you paid $1,000.
Well, I feel like that time period too was like a special
culture.
Yeah.
So I created an adhesive vinyl outsole, a red one that you could buy. And I took it to Vegas. We won Newcomer of the Year. Like, it was, again, lightning in a bottle. Launched with Steve Madden retail stores, which was unbelievable at 21 years old.
Did they carry Louboutins or no?
No, like,
I was gonna say, anyone that would carry them, I feel like would never sell.
It'd be so conflicting.
Yep.
So we had some like success there, but we pissed so much money away. And that was my first taste of failure in entrepreneurship. Dirty Bands was successful. I was unwise. I was young and unwise. Beautiful Bottoms was a flop. We had like what appeared to be success, but it was never financially. I mean, it was just always a money suck.
Okay. Why do you think that is? Like you're more experienced entrepreneur in that moment.
Yeah.
Was it just bad timing? Was it, hey, you were taking all the learnings and
I
you're
think
doing
just
that part right?
application. Like I think, people buying a sticker, sticking it to their shoe, it holding up a night at the bar and not tearing off. Like
Yeah.
I think it was a really creative idea, but I don't think it was
Realistic.
yeah, like for something that would take off.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my bridge into footwear. I sold shoes
Okay.
at Nordstrom. Once I got my college degree, I got into wholesale.
Okay. And then you had been doing that for 5 years. How many years I guess, were you doing that in your story? So you started getting into wholesale.
I was a road sales rep at 21 years old,
Okay.
and I'm 34, so I've been doing it 13 years.
Okay. So you've got this track record of all these entrepreneurial businesses. You start working wholesale. What even sparked the idea to do franchising? Because again, like some people think, oh, franchising is this thing that people do if they don't know where to start, which I think is a misnomer. I don't think that's true. But for you, did you ever feel that way? You're like, I don't need to do franchising. I've already started 3 or 4 different things. I'll just start my own pizza shop instead.
Well, that's a long-winded answer. Am I good to just
Go for it. Yeah, let it rip.
I got really lucky. I started with a company when I was 21 years old called Dolce Vita, and the founders of that company are Nick Lucio and Van Lamprou. They are unbelievable human beings, and I look up to them both so much. Like I get emotional about it. Like I was all in. Like I was an intrapreneur. Like what I said is important. And they let me be. Like they let me run my own business.
Yep.
And so here's this kid with an Amex Platinum, and they're sending me to Vegas, New York, and they trusted me so much. And we grew the business a lot. And they sold the business for over $60 million. And
Wow.
so I got really lucky because I felt like an entrepreneur. It scratched that itch. Like I was, on the road running my business, growing this. I had a voice. So I got lucky in that regard to kind of scratch that entrepreneurial itch. And then once they sold the company and they moved on to other things, we're part of the Steve Madden conglomerate now.
Okay.
And it's a lot more corporate because it's publicly traded.
Is that who bought you guys?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm currently employed by Steve Madden.
Okay.
It's a lot more corporate just being publicly traded, but he's the same way, man. Like one thing I like about him a lot is he lets us be entrepreneurs and run our business and make money. And the more you sell, the more you make. And it still has that kind of vibe, which
Yeah.
helps me a lot. To answer your question about franchising, I did think about going out on my own, and I wanted to go out on my own in footwear. It was right after COVID. I got furloughed, and I was like, man, maybe I could do this, like Nick and Van did, and like Steve did. The industry needs young blood. At the time, I was, I don't know, 29.
Yeah.
Frankly, I didn't have the appetite for the risk of like going all in, and I've worked so hard to build a life for my family and my son, and the barrier to entry is big. It's expensive to start a footwear brand. So I got called back to work, and after COVID, the economy like went nuts. And I just had some really great years in sales, commission sales, and I was like,
the post-COVID e-commerce and just selling
it
in
was
general
out
was
of control. And so my mindset was like, I got to do something with this money. I have to do something that's going to pay 50-year-old me.
yeah.
And that's where the franchising thought process came in.
Okay. And I think I know where the answer is going to go, but like when you thought, okay, hey, franchising is where I could park some of this cash, it's almost like not an annuity, but another investment. There's a lot more work that goes into it than a pure investment.
No. Oh,
But
man.
when you honed in on franchising, like how did you find the brand? How did you hone in on what category? Because it could be home services, it could be health and wellness, it could be food, it could be so many things.
I was locked into Donato's because I grew up with it.
Okay.
It was still family owned, so it wasn't major corporate. The Grody family still owns Donato's.
Okay.
I loved them when I met them. And there's no good pizza in Charlotte, in my opinion.
Hot take.
Especially in Fort Hill. We lived uptown. We ate librettos and fuel, and like that stuff was cool. The crust opened recently. I think it's pretty good. So it's gotten better. I do want to say it's gotten better. King of Fire is good. Like shout out to a lot of like really good pizzas in the city now, but 5, 6 years ago, I was like, man, especially in the burbs. I mean, you just had the major chains.
Yeah,
That was it.
that's it. Charlotte in general, I feel like from a food scene was very just like chains
I
and
agree.
steakhouses
It's
and
gotten so much better. I mean, South End is popping and like it's great now, but it's always kind of been on my mind of like, man, we need like a good pizza for families here. That's not like one of the big three.
yeah.
So that was kind of where it came from.
And so did you just cold outreach? What's that process look like?
I have a friend who started a payroll company that did some of the payroll for Donato's. And so I reached out to him and I was like, what do you think? But yeah, it was cold outreach. I went on their website.
Did the
Yeah, I went on their website and did the intake form. And then I called my buddy who does some payroll. He's like, oh, it's a great company. And then that kind of solidified what I was feeling. And then
yeah.
we went from there.
So walk me through like, all right, you go through that process, you start to meet the Donato family, right? Like it's family owned. So you're
Yeah.
interacting with the founders, the original group.
Mhm.
Was there a moment where you're like, this feels like home? Like this is validating
For
everything I felt about bringing it to Charlotte?
Yeah, I did a day there where you meet, I think it's like dating. Like they want to make sure you're a good fit and you want to make sure like this is what you want to do.
Yep.
And, they preach this thing called agape capitalism and, you donate a portion of your profits, which we have absolutely none yet. But when we start making money, we're going to donate to charities that I'm passionate about. And you do a different pillar every quarter. And it just had you saw me get emotional about Nick and Van and how they've changed my life. Like Donato's right now, we're in war. Like I'm in survival mode. But one day when we get there, I just love that I'm with a company that wants to leave the ladder down and wants to give back to the community. And that meant a lot to me. And I'd say that's what sold me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do business and I want to make money, but I want to be with good people.
Yeah. I used to talk about this at the laundromat franchise that we started. Was we had this huge, and we still have this huge community element of building these really nice, well-lit, safe, secure kids play area laundromats. Because if you think about it, laundromats are typically in underserved areas.
Yep.
A lot of single parents, they're bringing their kids to the laundromat and you're there for 90 minutes, right? Like this isn't like a quick in and out.
Yeah.
And so we just built it with the customer in mind. And what ended up happening is we'd have customers come that became incredibly loyal. I remember on a grand opening, this one lady came up to me in tears, like hugging me. She's like, no one ever builds anything nice for us. And like,
amazing.
It hit me and I was like, holy, this is different. Like
Yeah,
you can do, good while doing well.
for sure.
And I used to get on the soapbox about, I think there is this responsibility that businesses have today to be that center of, providing back in a way that's beyond just running the business. Because if you think about like the pillars of power throughout society, it used to be in the church. I'd say for the longest time, like way back, hundreds of years ago, the church really kind of was one of these gathering spots, had a lot of power. And then I think it shifted to government. Government started forming, getting more power, et cetera. And now I think businesses do hold most of the cards. Like, the government's still very involved, but like who owns the government? It's all the businesses lobbying. And so all that to say, I think it's business owners and businesses' responsibility to be that watchdog or that person that is looking out for the community and genuinely trying to do is good for for themselves, but also the community as they possibly can.
I agree.
And so I love to hear that you're looking at a brand, you're saying, oh, wow, there's like almost a mandate where a percentage of what we're producing goes back out.
I have that view for all people that, whatever success is to you. I mean, I've always felt like if we eat better food and work out and do, you mentioned the church, and I know you're talking about more the power shift of the world, but give back to your local church, give back to your neighbor. Like I'm big on that. Even before I had a business, when I was just doing well at work, I was like, me and my wife would sit down and say, okay, where are we donating monthly? Team Tebow, I loved, what they did with orphans. And I've always had my own pillars. So then when Donato's was like, we have to have these pillars, I was like, this is unbelievable. Like
That's a really interesting point I just realized too, is like, as you're making, like you kind of had semi-major decision. You're like, I know the brand, I grew up on it, Charlotte needs it. So you're starting to form this thesis, but then you meet the family and it sounds like, hey, this mission-driven component of what they're doing is important to me.
Yeah.
Was that like one of the major deciding factors, that alignment for you as a person with the values of the brand?
Yeah, it was. And also I think the franchise model was appealing to me because I had made the decision that I wasn't going to go all in on something. In hindsight, I'm all in because it's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I knew, and I think we'll talk about that. Like, do you ever have regret? And that's a loaded question. But I wanted a model that, where the hard work, and at the end of the day, the hard work was done for me. We have a menu, we have a POS. Like, I'm not back there making recipes and dough. Like, it is cookie cutter in that regard, but it's still the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So like, at one point, I think in our last call, you framed Donato's as almost like an annuity. I think that was the word you used, like, oh, it's an investment, it'll be like an annuity. But now that that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
But as you've gotten into it, like, what have been some of the things that have jumped out and you're like, oh crap, this is more work than I thought it was going to be? And what leads to that?
I mean, one thing I would tell any entrepreneur that's starting, and again, I feel like I'm just starting, so I don't say that,
actually,
like, from a righteous position.
Let's share that. It's like, when did you buy the rights to Donato's in Charlotte? When did you open? Just so there's some context.
Like right after COVID. I mean, it was a long process. It was 2-3 year process after I had the rights just to find the real estate and then, so getting into that, the advice I would give somebody is it never goes the way you think it's going to go.
It's like building a house
but worse, because there's so many moving parts. And so, we had a 6-month delay on opening because our landlord didn't finish the parking lot. And, a 6-month delay, you've taken out your business loan, you're paying interest on money you don't need. We sent some of our staff to training, they're on salary. I mean, we had delays that, in my opinion, the delay took our war chest of extra capital. And so, I was planning for a rainy day. I didn't plan it to the nickel, but then
he didn't plan the rainy day to be the first day.
First of the year. Yeah. And so that's the thing that's challenging is it's just, in your head, you're like, cool, we open in May because that's when construction's up. So we're going to send our GM to training in March and then he'll come back. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. And I think when you talk to other entrepreneurs and other business owners, they all say the same thing. Like, it's never going to go the way you think it's going to go.
So it take longer and cost twice as much.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, our delays, took our extra capital, which made us, in my opinion, undercapitalized to open. And so it's been a cash flow struggle from the start.
What if anything, would you have done differently? Like, I know part of this is just built in.
Yeah.
Like, there's gonna be delays, things are gonna cost more. But knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently?
Man, from a financial perspective, I probably would have just made sure we had more capital because we were in a position in the beginning. Like, it's a lot easier in the beginning when you're like raising money and you're talking to the lender and, we're with a preferred lender who knows Donato's. And I've got a group of guys that pitched in and, I was so afraid of debt and my debt ratio. Like, I wanted to make sure we were 40-50% down. I didn't want SBA, here's my house. Like, I wanted to make sure we had a lot of cash in and borrowed as little as we needed. But in hindsight, if we just would have borrowed 200 more at the time,
you'd have it.
Our cash flow, because then you start making decisions based on cash flow and that's not good for the business either. So I would say if I could do one thing different, it's I would have capitalized more.
Differently. Okay.
I would have had less fear towards debt and more of a war chest in the bank.
Okay.
And the second thing I would have done is maybe there were certain things about the process with Donato's that I knew in my gut weren't right, but I didn't fight because I was like, I bought the franchise for this reason.
Can you share any of those?
Sure. The training process was like 8 to 12 weeks for your salaried employees in Ohio.
Okay.
So I spent $20,000+ on hotels, $30,000+ on salaries, and just to have a grand opening that was a shit show anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that I knew when I was spending the money, I'm like, dude, there's no way like $100,000 to train a GM for a restaurant, like paying travel and expenses. This doesn't feel, my spidey senses knew.
Well, for context too, like, and keep me honest here, Donato's wasn't super, like, they weren't national at this point, right? So are you one of the, like, they're
trying to be, we're trying to be. Yeah. I mean, we're not in the sense that we have over 300 locations, but the majority are in the Midwest, the Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio area. Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio is the majority. But they have a few franchise partners in Florida, a few partners in Texas.
So they were having all the other franchisees do the same thing.
Yes. Okay. And we would get on the phone and talk. I'm like, dude, are you doing this? And he's like, bro. But since the thing I love about Donato's and it being family owned, like, I've had those candid conversations with them, and they are trying to change it for the future.
Good. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the value of a franchise system is
for sure.
They're learning from you. You're learning from them. There's this peer group of others where you can pick up the phone and do what you just did. Hey, this feels off. And now there's 10 of us that think this feels off. off, it's probably off. Versus you being on this island on your own, like, I think this is off, but I'm also my own worst enemy, and it might just be me feeling this way, and it's not a big deal. So it's cool that you get that data and that validation.
I agree. And like with them too, you know, they genuinely have your best interest. And you talk to other franchisees that don't feel that way. Like they just feel like they're a number and that franchisor just wants that payment. And Donato's has never once made me feel that way. So even though I'm like, damn, that training.
Well, they're learning, they're going through it with you, and like their success is your success. If you fail and all the other franchisees fail, like they fail.
Exactly.
So you know there's alignment.
For sure.
When you so you mentioned you'd capitalize more. Can you talk about the detail too of how you initially capitalized it? Was it money that you had earned up? Did you raise money from friends and family? Just because I know some people listening, they don't know where to start. Like, is it SBA loan? Do I do a Rob's rollover and borrow for my retirement? And so hearing how you did.
Yeah, I explored all those options. I wasn't eligible for a Rob's because I was staying at my career.
Okay.
If you do a Rob's, you can't be at the company that your 401k is held by.
Okay.
Was my understanding. I basically put my life savings in. I mean, I kept $10,000 for a rainy day, but everything else went in. It was money I had saved through the few years of good years I had at work. And then I raised money with friends and family. 25,000 here, 25,000 there. Nothing that would be life-changing to anybody.
Did you structure it as equity or debt?
It's equity.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wanted it to be because I want to be able to call those guys store 2, store 3, store 4. I wanted it to be like a group.
Mm-hmm.
My attorney, my CPA, everyone's like, dude, you're being way too liberal with equity. And maybe I was, but it's kind of the way I envisioned it. So that's kind of how we did it. And the majority of the funds were mine. And then I took on the debt guarantees as well.
How did you think about coming up with a valuation to price the equity?
Dude, I kind of just wung it, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I kind of just
ChatGPT.
Kind of like, I knew a store would typically do $1 million in revenue. So like whatever, 25 grand, you get 5%. And my CPA is like, you're crazy. It should be like 1, but I wanted everyone to feel part of it. I want to be able to call those guys during wins and losses.
Yep.
If you just throw 25 grand for 1% or for debt.
You care as much, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. And it's all people that I love too.
Yeah.
A group of people. Nick Lucio, who started Dolce Vita, is one of them. My dad, my brother, a really close friend of mine, CJ Saunders. He played for the Panthers for a little while. But like everyone is like family to me.
I feel like it fits that kind of Donato's core, kind of value and mission as well.
For sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, all right, my next question, and you were talking about like, oh man, it's way more work than I thought it was going to be. Have there been any nights where you're laying there and you're like, why did I do this?
Every night. Still to this day.
And what's the answer you come up with?
Honestly, dude, you're catching me at a funny time.
So the answer depends on the day or the week.
No, the answer's been the same, really. The answer to me, and this is not going to be like the rah-rah uplifting that like maybe
we want the honest, like
the only way out is through.
Yep.
I am trying to survive, and there's a lot of stuff happening this week, even in the business, and I'm putting some marketing plans together, and we want to get some catering business, and we're going to have to inject some capital, and what's the right way to do that, and we got to take care of some bad debt so we can increase our cash flow. We finally have an EBITDA. We're finally making money. We finally are operating at a profit.
There we go.
6 months of positive EBITDA. I mean, it's like I have a real business now, but because I was underfunded, I had to make bad decisions to survive, and I have to clean that up.
Yeah.
And so,
but there's a plan now. Like
I have a plan now. I just need to execute it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, dude, every day I'm like, all that money I put in this, if I would have put it in the S&P 500 or a CD or, put it down on my house, and my house payment would be, it's like, I have that regret a little bit, but I also am like, I signed up for this and I'm built for this. And the only way
it goes back to that stomach we talked about.
I won't fail.
Yep.
Like, and it's not an arrogance. It's like,
you can't.
I can't fail because then my family feels it.
Yep.
And so I'm just like emotionally just relentless of like, we have to get through this. But yeah, every day of my life, I'm like, all the things I could have done with that money that I didn't do. But that's kind of the story of my life.
Yeah, well, I think you can't also live that way either. If it's eating up, if you're thinking about it as like motivation and fuel, great, that's one thing. But if you're sitting there, it's stressing you out, and you're like, what if this, what if that? Like, you can't go back and change anything. So like you said, you got to keep forward.
Yeah, I don't have a woe is me. Regret's not the right word. But if I had a time machine, would I do it again? I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is about my attitude is that doesn't matter.
Right. Well, you see all these other operators too, that right? Like they got 100 of this concept, 60 of this concept, 30 of this
Dude,
concept.
there's some in the franchise. There's Todd Rogers owns, I don't know, 18 Donatos. He's got a lake house on Lake Kiwi. I mean,
But
dude,
it's working.
this works, and
Yeah.
I know that. And I just underestimated how challenging the first.
Do you see that, like even one in the system, you see the Blaze pizzas or the Dave's Hot Chickens or the crumble
Unbelievable.
cookies, and you see it, does that fuel you to say, hey, like this is possible? I gotta get through this first one. I gotta get to
Yeah.
the second one, and
Yeah.
there is a path here.
Oh yeah, and that's what I told you on our call. I look at it as an annuity. Not right now. Right now, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's constant stress and pressure, and even pressure for my employees, making payroll, and my GM, who's amazing. She's so amazing, and I love her so much, and her livelihood depends on this working.
Yeah.
It's bigger than me, but I like that a little bit.
It's good pressure.
Yeah, it's healthy
Stressful.
pressure.
It's good. Depending on the person again.
Yeah, but no, dude, it does work. It can work, and I think one day we get through this first one, and we do a second one, and we leverage the first one for the second one, and if we have the same amount of debt we have now, but we have 2 or 3 streams of revenue, and now we know how to operate, and now we've learned so many things that the only way to learn is to be in it. I know for a fact store 2's opening would be 10 times more successful.
Yeah, because you wouldn't do all the things that didn't work the first
Our
time.
training would be at our store instead of traveling. We would probably find a GM from within who already knows the system. I mean, dude, it's like...
And then you start to benefit from local economies of scale. You got the same team
Exactly.
running 2 locations versus having to redo it. It's like, I forget who it is. I can't remember if it's Charlie Munger or what investor said this, but it's like the first million is almost impossible or feels the most challenging thing ever, but the second is inevitable.
For sure.
And I think the same thing is true with a franchise location. It sucks. Like it is just a year, maybe more of suck.
And just wondering things. Yeah, I was that person. I don't know if arrogance is the right word. I've always had like a chip on my shoulder and a confidence about me to do things. I had no clue how hard this would be. I was like, oh yeah, like Donato's has it figured out. Like I'll work the community, like boom, boom, boom. It's not like that.
Well, so you're telling me like you've got the first location going, you got all this stuff going on there. You're also trying to manage a full-time job. Like
Sure.
what does the average week look like for you?
Luckily for me, I have a really good GM, a really good operator, and I have a lot of trust in her. And so
Did you have her out of the gate? Like
no,
okay.
no. So my father-in-law was the GM at first. And he's also one of the equity partners. And just frankly, the speed, like he didn't have restaurant experience, and he did amazing getting us started up, but we definitely just wanted to get a restaurant person in there.
Yeah.
It was mutual. Like he didn't love giving up his Friday nights, his Saturday nights. And my son would go to his house after school on Tuesdays, and he'd miss it. So, I think it was better for all of us. It wasn't hasty.
Yeah. But at the time, you're kind of like, just do what we got to do to figure this out and get it
For sure. It was uncomfortable for both of us. Like he wasn't happy, and I'm like, I got to find somebody else, but I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, like even at first, so like you're just doing this thing for the first time. You're like, all right, everyone's involved. Like we're all wearing 6 hats. So we're going to jump in and figure it out. And
all hands on deck for sure.
that'd be so appealing if you had someone who's like, I'll do it. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. Like,
dude, he's one of the hardest working people I know. Like he's blue collar. He came up in the auto industry and then the pipeline business. And I respect him so much. And he's also a mentor and someone I look up to. So it was a good natural fit. But again, I underestimated the restaurant business completely.
how demanding it.
Yeah. So I'm just like, yeah, Steve could do it for sure. And I'm going to be successful for sure. And then you get in it and you get punched in the mouth and you're like, all right, like this, you know what I mean? But then we had a second GM that was very short-lived. And then Tammy, who's my GM now, she started with us as an hourly manager. We offered her to be our assistant GM from the start, but she didn't want to go to the Ohio training, I believe. She didn't say that. She'll probably kill me when she hears that. She started with us right when we opened, and we've been friends. She was the GM of the restaurant.
You should ask her now. You're like, hey, was that why?
Yeah. So she has been with us since the start as an hourly manager, and now she's our GM. And that's
Doing it.
yeah, I mean, that's really where the EBITDA, I look at those details of like, what is our operating profit? What is our EBITDA? What's our labor percentage? What's our profit percentage? I look at it pretty much every Tuesday morning.
Does Donato's give you benchmarks too? Like, hey, this is what the average store is.
Yeah, so I have a franchise business consultant, and you know how I said every successful person has that list? Kevin Snyder is on that list. Like, he's become a dear friend of mine, and I know he has my back, and he kind of gave me all those benchmarks. I would have had no clue.
Okay.
But now that I know what to look for, I am a business person, and so it's like, you only got to teach me once, you know?
Yep. What are the rules of the game, and then I'm ready to play.
Exactly. And so my business, Kevin taught me all that stuff, and then Tammy has executed all that stuff. And that's what gives me the confidence to sit here and say, like, I will succeed, you know.
You have the right
I said earlier I said, man, I don't know. It depends on when you ask me. Like 9 months ago, I would have been like, give me a bankruptcy attorney. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stomach it anymore.
There's a learning there too. Like I mean, I've felt this way throughout my entrepreneurial journey too, whether it's franchising or an independent business or a tech thing. Like, is it just, do you believe like just stay around the hoop, stay in the game? Like the moment you hire the bankruptcy attorney, like you lost and
Kinda.
keep playing?
Yeah, kind of.
And that's better than throwing in the towel?
Dude, I told my wife, I kind of feel like it's a fight and I just have to make it to the last round.
Yep.
And I think there's like these cliches. Like I said, dude, I had an arrogance. Like I thought I was buying a franchise model and it was going to pay me $100,000 a year. And, you know, like, dude, I haven't taken a penny. I've put 6 figures back in to make it, to your point. Cause I'm just trying to hang around.
Yeah, you gotta be around the hoop, and eventually things start to click. You get the right person, you get the second one. Now, boom, we're starting to cash flow.
I believe that.
I think it's Steve Jobs has this. I think it was in an address to the company, and I can't remember when it was, but he was like, "We are cockroaches." Yeah. Everyone's like, "What are you talking about?"
Well, Nick and Ben cockroaches. My friends that started Dolce Vita, I'm like, you guys are cockroaches.
Like, you just survive anything and you got to persevere. I think that's the like #1 determining quality of a successful business person, entrepreneur, franchisee is purely perseverance.
I agree. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm like, if we make it to year 5, you know, our revenue numbers are anywhere between 60 and 20K a week. We're operating $1 million store. Now we have an EBITDA. Now we have an operating profit. Like, I just have to figure this out. I have to restructure this debt. I have to make moves. I have to put capital in, even if it's my own. Like, and then boom, in 5 years, when that debt note's paid off, or when that second store, when it's refinanced for a second store, like, I believe that in my bones, that it's like, I just have to survive.
Yep.
But when I bought the franchise, that wasn't my mindset. And so that's kind of the dichotomy. Like, yeah, I'm buying easy money. Like, no, you're not.
No. And I mean, there's some franchises for sure that are less complicated than others, but we get called so many times like, oh, I want this thing that's like kind of like mailbox, man. Like, go get a short-term rental then, or like, and even then it's going to be work. But there's people aren't looking for these like easy wins, shortcut, like, and no matter what it is, I think in business, it's got to take work.
Before we bought our home, my wife and I had 2 long-term rentals, and it was like the same thing. I did all the math, like, okay, here's our mortgage, here's our HOA, here's what we're charging for rent. AC goes out, rent's a week late, and I'm like, I had both of those properties for 3 to 5 years. We sold our portion to our partner, and then the other one we actually sold, like, you know, just listed it and sold it. And I looked back at it and I was like, all that work and we didn't make a penny. And I think that's a lesson though. I'm living it right now.
But yeah, you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I got one interesting question for you about, so you've had experience running and like building, let's call it like a fad-driven brands, like fad-driven brand, like Dirty Bands.
Yep.
You've now done a franchise. How has both of those experiences plus the shoe experience shaped how you view risk in general?
Well, the fad business is just lightning in a bottle. I mean, it's like buying Bitcoin. It's not real. I got very lucky. If I was a year earlier, I would have been even luckier. Like, that's how, you know what I mean? Like, if I could have timed it more with Silly Bands, I think I would have been a multimillionaire. Yeah. Because I feel like we were already on the downtrend of it, and we still sold a lot of units. Yeah. So I don't know a lesson to be learned in the fad trend. I think it's right place, right time. But again, it goes back to action creates action. Like, was I in the right place at the right time, or did I just have a funny idea and the balls to do it? Yeah.
Probably
know what I mean?
Mix of both.
Yeah.
Has it shaped how you view risk? So like, because that first one, you're like, wow, this is how, did you have any like naive, naiveness after that first business of like, this is how they're all going to be. Yeah, I'm just going to take risk.
Yes, but Beautiful Bottoms crushed that
And
spirit.
that humbled you, brought you back down.
Humbled me.
So where are you at on risk today?
Honestly, I married my best friend, and I love my wife so much, and we have a beautiful 6-year-old boy. If it wasn't for them, I'd probably be a degenerate. I love risk. I love to gamble. I love it so much. I do.
And do you think you've been that way from the beginning?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, push my chips in, like, let's go on black, and if it hits red, let's go find more gunpowder and let's come bet black again.
Yeah.
When you're responsible for more people than just yourself, and I'm a Christian, my faith has grown. I've evolved as a whole human,
Mm-hmm.
and I view my responsibility to my family first and foremost.
Yep.
But I still like to take risk.
Yep.
Like,
Part of your DNA.
I mean, we like I said, we've had cash flow struggles, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time for store 2. Like, that's how we're going to refinance the debt, is we're going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Could.
Go raise a friends and family around, bring investors on.
Yeah, I mean, now we have, our first 6 months we did $750,000 in revenue. I mean, we're not appealing to a bank.
Right.
The first 6 months of losses they're not going to love, but I also think they understand that that's how the game goes.
Yep.
And the last 6 months of EBITDA they're going to like.
Yeah.
So but I'm definitely, because I don't want to put my family in an uncomfortable place, I'm slow playing it, and so my appetite for risk is still high, but it's changed because of my responsibility.
More calculated.
Yeah.
Yep. I got last 2 questions on kind of just like advice you have for those listening. The first one is, what do you think most people get wrong about a franchise business being turnkey? Like, they look at it, they think it's mailbox money. Like,
Yep.
where are they wrong? I think you and I would agree, like, they're just wrong in general. But
So wrong.
But where is it that they get it wrong?
I don't want this to come across as a slight at Donato's, because I love them and they've been so supportive of me. But what I've learned when I zoom out, my dad always says, go to 30,000 feet. I zoom out and I look at it. Donato's has business development people whose jobs are to sell franchises, and they have financial disclosures that are made. Like, listen, when I restructure my debt, you better know my EBITDA is going to look as pretty as it can.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that legally can move below the line is moving below the line. Understood? Donato's is doing the same thing.
Yep.
Hey, here's our average. Well, that's your average in Ohio, where you have the Horseshoe and you have a airport store and your flagship brand. And I think, what do I want to say? My advice of why it's not turnkey, they're going to always paint the picture of what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
On the positive side.
They're showing the top quartile stores.
You got it. Or just like, hey, invest X and make Y, and they didn't mislead me. And that's not the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
But it's not turnkey. And I don't think that's exclusive to Donatos. I think everyone's gonna look at a financial disclosure. They're gonna have a business development rep you should open it, man.
No one goes to an interview being like, I'm gonna just like,
This is the hardest shit you'll ever do.
but you're gonna put your best foot forward every time.
Yes.
Whether you're a business, an individual, I think it's kind of human nature.
Yeah.
Now there's times where, and I think this is a good piece of advice too for people listening, when you're looking at an FDD, like, yes, there's audited financials, but there's so many adjustments to EBITDA. And maybe they're just showing, you have to look in the footnotes, hey, this is audited financials of our top quartile stores. And you have to look for the footnotes. But I think the biggest thing you can do if you're looking at a franchise opportunity is talk to other franchisees.
I agree.
And sample it, not just the ones that they give you. Go talk to the guy in Birmingham, go talk to the guy in Austin, Texas, and you're going to get a sample of what reality actually looks like.
I agree. And honestly, dude, again, I just want to repeat, like, Donato's has been amazing to me. I don't feel misled whatsoever. It's just, you're in that process. You're excited.
Yep.
You're looking at a sexy financial disclosure. You're loving the family. And reality doesn't hit you until it hits you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what's misconstrued about people that think franchising.
And so many factors go into this. It's the location that you pick. How hands-on are you? Maybe the brand is more brand equity in Ohio than it does Charlotte. You're working against that. There's so many factors that go into it.
I was a stickler about real estate. I was late. I was like 18 to 24 months late, not just because my landlord was late on the parking lot, but I was not just going to pick a space. Like, I had the Donato's rights, and I was like, I need a right turn in, right turn out, grocery store anchor. Like, dude, these are my qualifications. Like, I knew of all things that you can't change is you can't change where you're at. And your sign is your number one employee. Donato's, like what road, what's my average daily traffic? Who's coming in this parking lot? Like we have a preschool, we have a Publix. It's perfect. I absolutely love it. The only thing I didn't get that I wanted was an end cap. And I couldn't get it because I was a first timer.
Yep.
And that's another reason about survival. You know, you better believe store two, I'm going to say, hey, I have $1 million store here. Like store two, I need an end cap. Like we're not, I was a rookie, you know? And so that's another piece of advice. I just went on a totally off question there.
No, it's
real estate is everything. And I think the same for where you buy your home.
Yep. Last question. If someone is listening and they were where you were 5 years ago, like young family, corporate job, they're thinking about ownership, whether it's a franchise or an independent business, like what do you tell that person?
Put it in the S&P 500. Just make sure you're ready for war.
Yep.
It sounds so dramatic and so cliche, but you know, I said to my wife, we've been through the last month has been tough because we're figuring out how to restructure our debt and fix the cash flow stuff. And there is a certain pride. Like I look back at what we've been through and I'm still standing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't want to totally say don't do it. Just make sure you know how hard it is.
Yeah, it's got to be the right brand, the right fit, the right timing,
and you have
the right expectations.
Yeah, you've got to have Teflon skin.
Yep.
You know, I mean, in the beginning, even a bad Google review, I'd lose sleep.
Yeah, you got to be able to,
you know,
process it and hang it on the shelf.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be my advice. Like, make sure you're ready to
go to war.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, it's true. Like, it's never going to just be like this, like, ha ha ha, like we opened, everything was perfect, it was easy. It is going to be a battle.
And that 5 years ago, me was that guy. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Not Donato's is fire. His pizza's so good. They've already done all the hard parts. Like, you know? And so, yeah, it is the hardest thing you'll ever do. And I hope I'm back on your podcast in 5 years and I am a multi-unit owner and my son's college is getting paid for through it. Like, and that's my vision and I think it's possible and I'm never going to quit. So
the only way out is through.
That's the only way out.
I'm going to hold you to that. In a couple of years, we'll have you come back and be like,
yeah,
fuck the S&P 500, put it in Donato's.
Put them both on a chart and I out-earned that. So yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited about the future and I do still believe in the initial vision for sure.
Cody, this was awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to follow you on, I don't know, social media or LinkedIn or you know, order from Donato's?
My Instagram is just Donato's Pizza Fort Mill. I don't have a personal Instagram. I deleted it like 2 or 3 years ago because I was spending too much time on it.
There you go.
Smart man. And they can find me on LinkedIn for sure.
Okay.
So
awesome.
I don't know my handle though.
Just follow your name.
Yeah, if you search Cody Weaver, it should be on there somewhere.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for doing this, and we'll be sure to start supporting and order pizza to the office. And
can't wait.
Thanks again for sharing your experience, your story, the wisdom, all the above.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool.
All right, man. Appreciate it.